Alright, so we're going to show you how to replace the smoke detectors. This one here is hardwired. Obviously battery ones are pretty easy. But since they're good for 10 years, what happens is they change out the models, and so the new ones are pretty different. So we need to change out the base, and we need to change out the electrical connection here. So there's a little bit that we got to do. First thing is turn the power off to it. So this one has a little battery backup there. It'll start beeping in a bit, complaining about low battery. So you take the battery out. I'm gonna need 2 hands at some point for this. So take the battery out, set that aside. There's still power to it because you have that. But what you want to do is you want to make sure, there goes the beep, you want to make sure that you turn it off at the breaker. So you're going to have to go and flip breakers on and off and just check this light with the battery out. Check the light to see when it turns off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Turn the breaker off. All right, so this is my breaker panel. Mine happens to be this one for that particular smoke detector. So that's off. All right, so we're back. See the light's off. It might still beep, so I might be out of breath here. But my panel is in the basement. There you go, there's a beep. So it'd be nice if you could just rely on the sound, but even without the battery and no AC power, there can still be a little bit of power left in the actual detector, so you can't really rely on that. You gotta just look at the light to make sure the light's off. So with the light off, you can just kind of, I won't be able to do that with 2 hands, but you just take it off. There we go. I need 2 hands for that. So you just take this off, set it somewhere. It'll annoy you for a little bit. It'll run out of power eventually. And then you have this. So what you have to do is you have to take this screw here and then this one here. You got to take those off. So that way you can turn and get this guy off. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Don't just tug on this. So you can pull this out a little bit, stop once you're able to unplug it. Only pull out enough of this so that you can unplug it, and then take this off to do the rest. Okay, let me get on the stool here. I'm gonna try not to block the camera too bad. You wanna just undo these. You don't need to pull them out all the way. I'll kind of show you what the deal is here. So all this stuff is inside a little box that's in the ceiling. And so you don't want to unscrew these all the way, or you're going to have to put them back in. And really you have no idea what the person who put all this in did with them. So only unscrew them enough so that you can turn this, through the big holes. Come on, and get it out. Feed this thing through. There you go, and take that off. Okay, so this is just a little thing. All right, so at this point, if you have, well, you can actually do it before, but it's nice to kind of double check the voltage, and you might not be able to see me do it, but I'm gonna get my voltmeter. All right, so on my voltmeter, I have these really fine tips. And so I'm just gonna check the voltage by kind of shoving it in the little holes. And there you go, it's 0. I don't know if you can see that, it's 0. So it's definitely off. And you can check as well, sort of double check. Come on, it's a pain in the ass. I always like to just extra double check. Yeah, it's 0, okay. Safety first, you know. I also put safety glasses on. This one I'm not directly under, but when I was doing some earlier, kind of directly under it, and you don't want to get debris in your eyes. Okay, so I'll show you what I was doing there. Okay, so now that we know the power's off for sure, we can kind of have a look at this. So these hardwired ones, they have this red wire on this particular brand, at least it's Kiddo brand, And the red wire is for if you want them interconnected. Obviously this one's not connected up to anything. And then you have the white wire, which is where you have your positive voltage, and then the black wire would be the 0 or negative voltage, basically. White wire is in, black wire is out. Okay, so future me coming in here. I said that backwards. On mine here, the white is the 0 or neutral, and the black is the hot, and that's where it would come in. So it comes in on the black and out on the white. And elsewhere in the house, there's this crappy sort of paper wrapped wiring, but this one is more modern, and so this one actually has the rubber stuff. It's a little bit less of a pain in the ass to deal with. So what you want to do is you're just going to twist these off. I recommend remembering which one goes with which. So this one is the white, this one is the black, in terms of these caps. So that way you can put them back on the way that they definitely will fit. So you just take it off. This is the white one. So I'm going to put the white one down here. And then this is the black one. Right there. Okay. Let's see if you can see what that kind of looks like. Yeah, you can see that. So you see how they're twisted? These are twisted. They aren't twisted because of these caps. They're twisted with a special kind of wrench. It's a pliers, lineman's pliers, that easily puts the twists in. But these here, these aren't twisted in with them. They're just placed, when we put them back in, we're just going to place them right in there. Obviously you would want to do the white one. I'm just holding the black one up so you can see it. You're just going to place it in there with it, and then the twist in there allows you to screw this on. The caps, if you kind of look inside of them, it has like a little, this one looks silvery, but it's got like a little metal threads inside of this section, so they twist right on there. Anyway, this is the black one, so I'm going to put it there. All right, then you get your new wire. The idea is you don't have to mess around with twisting them, so it's really not too hard. And so you grab your new wire, make sure you've got the one that goes with your new model. Mine just came in the box, so it's probably where you're going to get yours too. And then you're just going to match them up, white to black. If you have a different color than white, like if this was blue or something and this was green or whatever, just to pick two random colors, then you want to just remember how the old one was in there, okay? Just remember how the old one was in, that the white one on the old one was with the blue and the black one was with the green, and then you'll hook the new one up the same way. As far as I know, it does matter for the smoke detectors that you put the positive voltage in the end that it's expecting. And so you're just going to want to make sure that you get that right. It's really not too hard to make sure you get that right. You just make sure that, you know, the colors on your little wiring gizmo match up with how the previous one was. In this case, the colors are okay, but like on my other wiring, and I'll show you here at the end, the paper ones aren't this color. So this part's a little tricky. Like I said, I'm going to try to make sure that you can see it. But with the power off, it's okay. You can touch these and nothing happens to you. That's why you got to make sure you turn the power off, so that way you can touch them as much as you need to. But you kind of want to just, hopefully you can see here. I'll make sure that you can see it at least once here. So you just want to make sure that you get it kind of aligned in there, and then you're going to put the cap on. So I'm going to try to not block. I have no idea if I'm blocking the camera or not. And then you'll slip this on. And then you'll just keep turning it. There you go. And then I like to give it a gentle little tug, make sure it's on, and that one's on. Grab the other one. If you mix up, I'm afraid I might have made too big of a deal of the caps. It shouldn't matter. If you mix up which cap was on the white wire, which one was on the black wire, it shouldn't matter. But I guess if you have trouble getting one on, then so right there, what was happening was if you look inside the cap, the little metal thing is narrower than the opening, and this wire that I'm trying to add in here, you kind of want to match up the tips so that everybody gets inside that narrower opening that's deeper inside. And then you just twist it on. There we go. A little tug. There we go. All right. So with that, just sort of give a gentle push of those twisted up wires. Just sort of jam everybody back up in there. As long as those are on nice and snug, nothing will come loose. So let's put the new bracket on. All right, so we're going to put the new bracket on. And make sure when you put the bracket on that you get. I was laughing because I was just imagining somebody doing it. Make sure when you put the new bracket on that you put this through the big hole. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to plug in anything. Everything will just be shoved in there. So don't get carried away shoving things in. So see all these different holes. The big holes are the ones that you can put the screws through, and they're all different shapes. So just make sure you're putting it on to line it up with where the screws are. And then you'll turn it. So some directions it'll turn, some it won't. Just make sure you get it in. This one's slightly different in size than the other. There we go. A little bit thicker of plastic, I guess, this model. And so it didn't want to turn for me. So this one is Phillips. So the flathead screw, I think that's Phillips. I don't know. I don't know what they call them. No, I don't think so. This is just your regular flat one. Phillips is the plus sign one. And it's not in the gap. It's gonna make sure that there's a little indentation for the screw to go. It's gonna try to make sure it's definitely in that spot. There we go. Get those, don't tighten these too tight because you are just tightening it onto some plastic and you don't want to crack the plastic. That'd be bad. Alright, that one doesn't want to get any tighter anyway, so that's fine with me. Alright, cool. And then you just kind of make sure that this will be able to shove inside without any problems. I like to check that first. So that's fine. Don't lose it in there. Just shove it up to that far. All right, let's get the new detector. Okay, so here's the new detector. It's got a little red cover on it. It's got batteries already installed. I really don't like this new detector. The plug plugs in like this, and the batteries go in the back, which means I have to unplug it every time I want to change the batteries, whereas the old one had a little hatch. My guess is they did that because people would, I don't know, do something. I'm sure it's a safety feature, but it's annoying. So we'll take the battery, little protector thing out, plug it in. Come on. There we go. And then just sort of jam it on. And there you go. Take the cover off. And you gotta make sure you turn the breaker on. So we'll go turn the breaker back on. Breaker on. There you go. Green light is now on. So then you want to test it. And on this one, you just push to test it. I'm not going to do that on the, well, I guess it won't be that loud on the phone, right? It'll be modulated by something. I'm not going to do it recording it. It's going to be really loud. I'm going to put earplugs in and do it. So I promised to show you what I was doing just in case I was blocking it. So like I said, the white wire should be the plus voltage. That's where you would put your red one. It really doesn't matter though. So I was just kind of jamming it into this hole here. That's the hole that it plugs into. So I was jamming it in there, and then the other probe in the other one. And of course it's going to read 0 volts here because it's not plugged into anything. But what you can also do is, you see these little, try to get it to focus there. See how it's metal right there? You can also test it there. The middle one is just the red one. It's capped. It's for the interconnect. But you can also test it on those as well if you don't have things really tiny. So these are just little caps. So if you just kind of have the more regular sized probes, you probably won't be able to fit them inside there. See, it doesn't really go in, but you can still get the tip onto those, so you could still test it like that. So I always recommend double checking, turn it off at the breaker, and then check the light, make sure the light's off. That should be, it's off, and then just double check to make extra sure. You don't want to get zapped by anything. All right, so this is the other kind of wrapping that I was telling you about. You see the wiring in there, like how it's not sort of the plastic or rubber wrapped kind. See, it's this sort of, it's like a fabric. It's like a wrapped braided fabric. I'm not going to take these caps off because they're a huge pain in the butt to get on, much more of a pain than the other kind, just because of the wires. But you can still do it. It's the exact same process, just takes a little bit more patience to get them on. But yeah, hopefully you don't have ones like that. It's not any kind of problem. It's just an old type of wiring, but not really worth the expense to fix if all you're trying to do is just swap out a smoke detector. I guess one more thing might be this particular hole, the one I was just showing you. It doesn't align with the outer holes, so it aligns with, I'm trying to get it in there. Come on, focus. Yeah, you can see it. So where's the screw at? There he is. So it aligns with that one, and you can see those screw there. So it aligns with these inner holes. So you just got to kind of match up and see. I'm going to need 2 hands to get this back in, but you can kind of see that it just just pay attention to where it is, and you also see how up here, if it goes into this one and you rotate it that way, that's a little farther out than if you rotate it this way. So you have a lot of different potential sizing options. So just kind of pay attention. If you start trying to twist it this way and it's not working, try to go the other way, or maybe loosen up the screws just a little bit, like I had to do, just because this is a little bit thicker than the old one. But a little patience, and you'll get there. I've forgotten to point out, you see the box, right? That's this thing. You probably can't hear it, but you see this little rim? That's the little box that they're in. This one's a really tiny little circle box thing. I don't know why, but usually they're a little bit bigger. But anyway, they're all in like these little boxes, and then these screws are just in there so that you can put some kind of cover on there. That's how like your outlets and light switches and things are as well. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure that's it.